Well, hello, Lightworkers 5.0. This is Leti Candelaria Voices once again, and my amazing co host and spiritual sister, Miss
Irene Alcantara.
Irene.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome,
We're
welcome,
here
welcome.
to chat again. We're so
Yes,
excited. Yeah.
yes, we are, guys, it's been a couple of days, but we have been out. I think Irene and I both can agree on this. There's a lot of things happening in the world. There's a lot of energy floating around in the ethers. And, everyone's on their own journey, as we know, right? As souls having this human experience, we're all on our own path. But, we come together to bring to you information and just a shift of energy, maybe a thought that you never thought about, or maybe you have thought about. And so we're here to discuss a little fireside chat with Irene. We both got our little coffee for today, and we're going to talk today about um, what changes you might be wanting to make in your life, right, Irene? You want to
hmm
add a little bit?
Yeah. Because I was talking to some people, and I've known some people who've actually done and went ahead and did a change. So it's like, do you want to quit your job? Are you thinking of actually ending a relationship? No, this is not something that we should be actually feeling with guilt within us, because there's nothing wrong with that. It is just like your soul, your energy, your essence is asking you to experience some more. So when in doubt, go for the experience. That's what spirit says. So there's a lot of people nowadays that are going through these thoughts, and it's like, should I leave my job? That's one thing, Letty. Should I leave my job? I don't like this job anymore. It doesn't make me happy anymore. But there's always a but it pays the bills.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
do? I mean, what do you do? I mean, we can't be really irresponsible in a way, but
right.
sometimes we are forced to do some action,
Mhm.
say to leave a job. Like, everyone is different though. Don't compare yourself with another person. Like for myself, for example, a few years ago, I've got this good job, pays the bills, all of that. But then one day I went to work, and then I felt like so uneasy and so restless that I couldn't be there anymore. And I said, after I think 3 or 5 hours, I said, I'm going home. Never went back, never went back. But the universe has supported me
Yeah.
all those times. So I wasn't homeless. I didn't become homeless. We were eating stuff, were good. I was even able to travel, a few times, go on retreats. So it was all given to me. But that time was a struggle though.
Mhm.
So yeah, have
Well,
something there like a spiritual practice.
definitely. And I
Yeah.
agree with you, Irene. I think sometimes, guys, we just give it to you straight here, right? We just talk honestly about what we've been through, things that have happened in our own personal experiences. I was in education for many years, and it was such a stable job. I remember I was a single mom, and it paid the majority of my bills, right? But I had great insurance, medical coverage, and here, in the West and in California, that's huge, right? I'm talking 30 years ago, and I did the same thing. I kind of walked into work one day and I went, gosh, I think I'm kind of more than this, maybe, and I was young. I had no idea. And I left that job. I took a job in radio. I jumped ship and I just threw caution to the wind. And I said, okay, you know what? Me and my daughter will be fine. And I didn't have a real plan, but I knew I had my faith. I had my faith. And I thought, okay, if this coming into my experience, and this was before I was awake, totally awake, right? This is a long time. I was in my 20s. I was 24 years old. And I thought, I'm gonna have to figure this out. And I know it's gonna be okay because it felt good. And I went with my feelings. I did go with my feelings. And I thought, I'm gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right. And sure enough, that opened up a whole new world for me. it just expanded me in so many ways. And we've all had these moments, and we all know this, right? We've all had moments where we were afraid to do something, we did it anyway, then we were super happy we did it, right? I think right now what's happening with the world, and as I think post CV, we all kind of are looking at things a little bit different. But I think it's important to also understand that, and I say this a lot when it comes to relationships and friendships, I've said this for years, is you know people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? And we don't know what that is. We don't know what that, but the same thing is for a job, a career. When we're here in the United States, we're taught to, we go to college at 18, we have to pick our major at least by the end of your freshman year in college. So you have to be at least, not by 19, you have to know what your major is. Well, that's going to determine kind of your rest of your life. What do you know at 19? I didn't know. I didn't know diddly at 19. And I think, gosh, so many of us have fallen the rules, and we did what we were supposed to do. But then 30, 40 years later, we're looking at it going, I don't like that. And I really never liked it anyway. And we do get caught up in paying the bills and family responsibilities and obligations. But I really feel, especially right now with this awakening that we're going through, Spirit is giving us that nudge. And it's just, you're opening up to different things. We're looking at possibilities. And I think that's what was the good thing about the whole pandemic, was we had to look at things differently. People had to learn how to homeschool their kids. People had to look to work from home, right? You had to maybe get a computer and get some internet, or, increase your bandwidth or your internet service so you could work from home, and get a printer, do whatever you had to do. And we did it. Thousands of
Mhm.
people did it. We made it happen. The world still functioned. We were just doing it from a different place, maybe on a different hours. We had to figure things out. And I think there was a lot, I have to say, even from the employment sector, from the employer perspective, they made some, um, there was patience in that process. There was a learning curve. And so there was a lot of tolerance, and
Hmm.
okay, let's see how this goes. We'll give everybody a month to figure this out, get another IT guy in here to go help people set up at home, whatever the case was. And so we know it can happen. We know it's possible. And I think now a lot of people, I'm with you. I know people in my life that have just looked at their they look back on things, and they're like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't want to be a computer analyst anymore. I don't want to be a financial
Yeah.
analyst. I want to look at numbers. I want to,
Well, it's difficult to, I think it's easy to think about like, oh, I don't want this anymore. Like, really, I don't want this. But it's actually quite challenging to actually get out of that system that's paying
created.
your bills and go into something else. So personally, I don't advise just quitting,
Yeah,
just
no.
like, oh, I don't want this anymore. And I trust spirit. No, spirit
Mm,
would tell you to just, get the things in order, think about for yourself, why don't you like this job anymore? What's bad about it, according to you? What's making you feel like you want to leave the
yeah.
job? And then do your inner work on that and say, okay, why don't I like this job? Oh, because I don't want to get up early in the morning, or I don't like my boss, or I don't like this, I'm doing overtime all the time and it's not good for my family. I don't have time for myself. Now, put your priorities in order. Like, what's your priority? Is it
Hmm.
money, in
Hmm.
exchange for health,
Yeah.
your physical health and your mental health, or what? I mean, if that's what you choose, then go for it. Fine, but I think we are all being called to a much more balanced life. We're all
Hmm.
being called to, like, hey, excuse me, think about it. You've been
Yeah.
there for 30 years.
Exactly.
And you're kind of
Exactly.
bored, you feel like you're stuck, so what do
Yeah.
you do now?
Yeah.
And you know manifest, you imagine, what do you want, what life do you want, and then what don't I like about this life that I'm living now, and what do I want? Then you go and envision that every day and do the work, like your inner work,
Yeah.
That is the most important. You don't have to go anywhere, but you just think about, okay, do I want this job? Is it serving me or is it
Mhm.
serving other people?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Which
and you know,
is, yeah. Mm.
well, you touched on something, the manifesting. You touched on something, and I remember I used to, I studied, Abraham Hicks for years and years and years, and the law of attraction and the secret, and the whole nine yards. And one thing that I remember hearing once, and I thought, oh, this is so true. Oftentimes, let's say you're in a bad situation at work, you don't like your job, you feel stifled, you feel stuck, whatever it is.
Mm.
Um, Many people, when they're trying to manifest a new opportunity, right? First of all, you don't know who you are till you know who you are not. That's for sure. But you also don't know what you don't want. I mean, you don't know what you do want. You know what you don't want. So we
Hmm.
spend a lot of time talking about what we don't want, and so we just get more of what we don't want. But when you start talking and realizing that it's okay to talk and visualize and have a daydream, talk about, man, one of these days I'm going to have this cool office in the corner. It's going to be great. I'm going to come in at 10, leave at 2, whatever. You can daydream like that. That's called future speaking, right? You can do that. But the other thing too that I realized in listening to one of Abraham Hicks talks once was, if you want to manifest something new, talk about the good things that you do have in that job that you currently have. Simply because when you recognize what you do like, and you recognize that there have been good to you, that you were given kindness, that they were compassionate to your family, and they were patient with you learning all the new stuff when you first got there, and your team that you work with really is, they're funny, find different little things, because in appreciating that, you will manifest exactly what you're appreciate, right? So what you appreciate. It's going to come from this side, much faster and a lot clearer. It's going to be because you're going to talk about all these great things that you really do enjoy about your current job, and appreciation for having a current job, right?
Yeah.
And while you're doing the work, like you said, doing that inner work, doing that inner appreciation and gratitude, it's just, you're really, that order that you're swiping over to the universe, like Amazon, we swipe, it's getting ready to come into your experience. It's going to come full fledged. It's going to have all the perks that you had. It's going to have all the items you listed. It's like when you buy a car, and you know how you go look at for a new vehicle online, and it says, would you like to build your own car? Well, I don't know if you
Hmm.
guys have ever done that. I did it once, just for shits and grins, and my car was awesome. It was just amazing. And it was
Everything
so
you wanted.
everything I ever wanted. And I had all these little features, and I thought, wow, I've never done that online, right? And kind of virtually put it together. But I realized I really do like this, and I really do like that. And I really do want to have that kind of chair and seat and whatever. And I want my butt to be warm. I never would have thought that I even had an option. And so when you do stuff, when you really appreciate what you have, don't think that it's going to mess with your manifesting. If you appreciate what you have, it doesn't mean the universe is going to say, oh, you love it there so much, well, stay another 100 years. That's not going to be the case. But whatever you do want, if you're ready to move on, it is gonna come
Hmm.
in. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is not an accident why a lot of people that we know, and maybe, the viewers know, that a lot of people are actually thinking of, doing something else. It's not an accident because the change, the ascension of Earth is happening right as we speak. And it's really pushing people and beings and energies around so that we can go and live into a much higher, fulfilled kind of life instead of just being driven by material things, the things that don't really matter that much if you look at it from a higher perspective, right?
Right.
So a lot
Right.
of people, like, people who are like always complaining or complaining more about the job that they do, but they stay in the job. I mean, is that the way to live life? And then what? What, you retire? Do you think you still have your retirement savings there? Or maybe somebody has already used it, like, I mean, somebody, whoever is the caretaker of the funds that we put away, right?
Yeah.
So there's
Right.
no security in that anymore. And we can't really say, oh, I've got this, what do you call that, 401k? Is that what you
Yeah.
call that
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
I've
Over
got
here,
my
401.
401k and I've got a lot of money. They will really, do you think? Because those are actually invested in stocks,
Yeah.
invested in all these things. And what if the stock market
If
crashes,
there's a
right?
crash,
I
yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
we're not wishing that, but because we both know, you and I, we know that for things to actually change into a much better place, that the
Hmm.
things that we've come to know, they are not serving us anymore. So there's bound to be a change and we build everything from scratch. It's very
Yep.
difficult to actually, challenging to actually think about those things that I said at this time, because we're still all in this world, living in this world, and we still have to pay our bills, right?
Right. But I think you and I both, Irene, and we've never talked about this ever, even offline. We both have moved countries. We both left material things
Mm-hmm.
behind and had to accrue material things in our new country. I mean, a couple of times, right? And I have to say, guys, if you've never done that before, it takes some planning. It's not something you do overnight. Um, and you will pull a couple of hairs out, but it really helps to understand that it's not the material things that matter. It's the memories you had, it's the experiences you had, it's the people you met, it's the smiles you shared, it's the hugs you received. It's when I moved away, when I left the US and went to Mexico in 2016, I got rid of everything. I mean, my whole life did an upside down topsy turvy. And I landed in Mexico with 5 boxes to my name. Like I had nothing. And I was attached to tradition. I had all my Christmas decorations from when I was in kindergarten. I had dishes from my first apartment. I mean, I just was like, no, it's still good. I'm going to keep it forever. Well, I walked away from a job, from a career, and I learned something completely new. And I lived in a country that I'd never lived in. And then when I came back to the States, I thought, okay, well, let's see if anybody has any furniture they want to give away. Or, at that point, my attachment to material things had completely changed, but also my belief in the fact that I could create whatever I wanted was really like in my face. Right. And I thought, okay, gosh, if I could move countries, and I say this often to some of my, clients and students and people that I work with, if I could change countries and still stand on my 2 feet and smile about it, and go through such big changes, I could finding another job and doing the steps, taking the time to do the things I need to do, is easier because there's less fear. I think fear holds
Mm-hmm.
people back too, Irene. I think people,
Oh, yeah.
it's not that
Yeah.
they don't want to. I think fear of the unknown is always, that's the biggest
Yeah.
monkey on
And I
your
think
back.
that's the biggest thing that we all have to face and try and get rid of. Because I mean, I have still a lot of fears, but I guess they're less than before,
Yeah.
so, but they
Oh yeah.
still come because we all still need to face them and understand why we have those fears most of the times, because we see it in life experiences, or we see it in other people, and that creates fear in us, so
Mhm.
yeah, it is tough. It is tough. And what do you do? What do you do if you suddenly find yourself thinking about, I really don't want this job anymore? I mean, do you go find another job, the same kind of, you know, work? Or do you prefer to do a totally different work?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be your own boss? All these things. I think
Yeah.
it's good to do a soul searching, and what do I really want? And what
Yeah.
do I really trust in?
Hmm.
We're all powerful, we've been told, but then it's just, yeah, I'm powerful, you're powerful, but then that does actually translate to real life. I mean, our real life now. It doesn't, right?
Well,
It
I think
doesn't. I mean, I
doesn't,
could keep
not
telling you, Letty,
necessarily.
Letty, you're
Yeah.
powerful, you can do this. But then, when I leave, you're
Are
like,
you sure?
what the heck?
Oh no. Yeah,
What?
I don't
I've
feel
still got bills
powerful
to
right
pay.
now.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And you know what though? I had this, and I'm glad you said that, because I know we're all struggling right now with inflation. It's not just here in the States. I think it's everywhere. People are feeling it. If you think, guys, that we're just, we're all in our own separate little towns and separate little cities and separate little countries, that's not really the case, right? We already know this. And it kind of ripples out, it kind of ripples out. And regardless of what the circumstances are, maybe you can't afford the avocado that you used to be able to get for, 50 cents. Now it's $10, or maybe if you're looking at this in Korea or China or Europe or wherever you are, a lot of stuff gets imported, right? So maybe it's not as cheap as it used to be or economical for you. Same thing here in the US. Oh my gosh, gas prices are, colorfully quite high. And I think, but there again lies this idea that, oh my gosh, I can't afford that. Okay, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. It's if you say you can't, then you won't be ever be able to. But if you just say, you know what, but I am abundant in all these other things, you know, yeah. So I am choosing not to buy that $10 avocado. Not that I can't buy that $10 avocado. I'm choosing that I maybe next time, right? You're not limiting you, but and it's part of
Hmm.
believing that, there's abundance. There is abundance. Are you abundant in love? Are you abundant in warmth when you go to bed at night? Do you have a sheet? Do you have a pillow? Do you have a blanket? Are you abundant in time? Are you abundant in joyful memories and joyful thoughts? I mean, I think if you look at what you what there is an abundance of, are you abundant in humor? Are you funny? Do you like to tell jokes? Are you, one of those, slapstick da da da, I mean, it doesn't there's
Yeah.
abundance in so many things. And I had this moment just about a week ago, and I had a choice, and I really saw it. I saw the fear guy, and then I saw the abundance guy, and I could choose which way I was going to go. And I really did have this, like, and I'm not losing my mind, just in case you guys are looking at me like I'm crazy, but I really did. I thought, I'm not going to go down the fear road because I've already been down that one. I don't like that guy. I'm going to go down the abundance lane here. And we're going to talk about everything we've got. And I did. I wrote it all down. I'm abundance in plants. I have an abundance of birds. I have an abundance of dust on the floor. I mean, whatever. And it shifted me just enough so that I could say, you know what Irene says. I am powerful. And I think that helped me. If it
Yeah.
helps any of you guys out there,
And
go
then
for
and
it,
then
do
you're
it.
gonna continue on to say, yes, I am what Irene says. I am powerful and I believe that. Now what? Now what do I
Yeah,
want to do next?
yeah, yeah,
What do I want? Well, I don't like staying in this job for long. I
mhm,
know I want out of this job and this humdrum, whatever life that I'm living. Now what? Okay, well, I think I'd like to do a podcast. Okay, well, I'll do that. I think I'd like to write a book. Well, I'll do that. Okay, let me just do it without expectation of money coming in the meantime. Or I think, yeah, I'd like to try and paint again or do this stuff. That's how both of us are thinking. I mean, we are totally still in transition, right?
yeah,
I mean, we are
yeah.
transition. I mean, that's how our YouTube channel came about
Started
because we want to try all these things now.
different things.
Whereas
Yeah,
before we would look at YouTube and those people doing it, it's like, yeah, no, they're so good. I don't think I can do it. But
yeah.
just try it. I mean, it doesn't cost anything, right, to do this. Just try it. And that is what we did was like, okay, now what? Now what? And then we're moving on to different
Yeah,
stuff.
to different things.
And then we're doing these videos because we still like to do them. Eventually, if that's not a passion anymore, we're going to expand and do something else. So I think
Mhm,
that a good question to have is if you thought about, should I quit or I really want to quit? Now what? What can I do now?
mhm. To
Okay, well,
prepare for that.
you go
Yeah,
outside and take a nice walk out in the sun or in the rain, or I don't know, is there snow there at the moment? Probably not. just do something different. I was going to say earlier that the routine that we've all done for many years, and that's why we have this thing called midlife crisis, is because we keep doing the same things over and over and over again. We keep saying yes to other people over and over again, and then eventually we can't say yes anymore because we're so tired of that. And then that's the
Mhm.
time I was like, oh, that's a midlife thing, right?
Well, not only are we saying yes, but we're saying yes and we expect different results. And there aren't going to be different
Yeah,
results. If you keep saying yes to the same thing you've done forever and ever, and you keep it, oh, well, this time it's going to be different. No, no, no. But this time I'm going to get a new chair. I'm going to get a new office. I'm going to get a new computer. But you're still going to feel the same way. Then that is the definition of insanity, right?
yeah,
Hitting your head in the same spot. And yeah, why is it hurting? Right. So, yeah. Well, I
yeah,
think, you know what I think? I think this is a good question for the guardian.
yeah. I
I think
think
we should let spirit come in one of these days.
Yeah, I think
Mm,
so. I think we'll do a separate video on that just for that. But we want to know the comments too. We want to have a look at what people are thinking as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys want to know? Do you want to know, if it's a good time to make a
Or
change in your,
are you one who's thinking actually of that same question that we asked earlier?
yeah. I mean, if this is resonating with you and you're watching this video, there was alignment for it, right? Then something, you matched us, we matched you, and now you're here watching this video. It's a frequency match. And we
Yeah.
already know. So I think if there's anything that we're saying that's resonating with you at all, you know, trust, just trust. Know that we're going to do that. We're going to ask our guardians to see what they have to say about stepping forward in faith instead of staying stuck in fear,
Yeah.
and how that,
How do
how
you
do you decide?
decide? How do I know when it's time to go?
Yeah.
How do I know? Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
very challenging question. I mean,
Hmm.
I've gone through that. I'm still going through the same questions, really.
Hmm.
And this is a journey. It's not about the end point, right? They always say it's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
When
And it
you
is
reach your
marathon.
when you reach your destination, you want more. Okay, where do
Hmm.
I go from here? And
Yeah. You keep expanding.
that's the
Yeah.
excitement of life.
Exactly. Well, and one thing too, also, guys, is
So,
this whole experience, it's a marathon. It's not a race. No one's
yeah,
going to get there first. It's okay. Some people in your life may have already made these changes. Some people may have not. Maybe you're kind of in the middle and you're on the fence, but it is a journey, like Irene says, and take your time with it. No rush, but listen to your
yeah.
heart.
Or you may be the one who really wants to stay in your job. Good on you.
Hmm.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
obviously that's for you. You found it way before we did.
We did. Yeah.
Good
Absolutely.
on you. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us once again for Lightworkers 5.0, little fireside chat with Letty and Irene. Irene and Letty, one and the same. We're here to be of service to you in any way that we can. And we thank you for your time today. Irene, you want to sign
Thank you
us?
very much. Thank you. And what do you think, guys? What do you think? Were you thinking the same thing? Do you want to quit your job? Do you? See what happens. Bye.